Are you worried that this could continue into Italy? Or they're gonna figure it out?
I'm hoping that by Italy that they've
Me too.
figured it out.
Me too.
But I think will speaking out hurt their chances? We don't know. It shouldn't. But it's skating.
Hello, party people. Perdita Felicien here. Happy 2026. Welcome to Mission Milano Cortina. Did you miss us? I hope you missed us. You better have. So we are so close to the Winter Olympic Games, like less than 30 days. Can I be honest? Because I've gone to a couple of Olympics. When I used to compete, you're so close that you're like, yes, this is getting real. But you're also so close that you're kind of like, I just want to get there. I hope nothing happens because there's not a lot of chance to rebound. I don't mean to suck the air out of the room. The point is getting real. Talking about things getting real, things have kind of changed with the Canadian figure skating program, and I want to know what's going on. So I brought in an absolute heavyweight in the world of that sport. You better like me calling you this name, sir. Asher Hill, one half of that figure skating show. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Perdita. So happy to be here with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, let's jump in it because you know you and I can get distracted
Yes,
and they're
we
not
can.
going to love us for
Yeah,
that, okay?
yeah.
When you look at the history of figure skating in Canada, so many iconic moments, gold medals, legends, but what is the state of, I guess, the union now?
I would say that, especially heading into an Olympic year, there's always anxiety about where Canadians are placing relative to like their international standing. Right. And then, of course, Olympic means retirements after. So who's going to be left behind? Like we have a lot of upcoming juniors. Right. We have, of course, people who are in senior who are just behind those veteran teams that we will be expecting to maybe vie for medals at the Olympic Games. But it's been a kind of up and down season for Skate Canada or Canada on the figure skating stage. But this year actually hasn't been that bad. We had 8 medals on the Grand Prix circuit. Of course, those were from Piper and Paul, Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, and Zachary Lega and Marjorie Lejoie, and some other pair teams that Kellyanne Lauren and Lucas Etier. So there has been a lot of success, and then there's also been some success within what we call the Challenger Series, which are the other kind of events beside the Grand Prix happening where you vie for points and hopefully make the Grand Prix next year, trying to get those world score minimums. But I think Canada, although you don't have like the breakout stars who are winning everything, like the era of Scott Moyer and Tessa Virtue, there are still a lot of skaters that are making their names known within the skating world. Although it does seem to be lacking, especially when we look at our men and women discipline.
So if you were to look ahead to Italy, and I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
It might not be comfortable. Canada was shut out in 2022. No medals, first time since 1984. Are they bringing any medals in Italy?
Well, 2022, there was that little caveat with the team event, with the Russian doping. Canada was hoping to get bronze. They didn't. But I think this Olympic Games in Italy, they have 3 opportunities to potentially get a medal. That would be Iceland's Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier are vying for a medal, but their season has been kind of up and down, dealing with some judging controversy that they were very, very public with. So we will see how they end up, but they are second in the world last season, so getting onto the Olympic podium should not be a stretch for them. In the pairs event, we have Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, who are world champions 2 seasons ago. It's been very up and down, and the pairs event internationally has gotten so very, very strong. So it's going to be a tough battle for them, but it's something that is well within their wheelhouse. And I would say that the 3rd medal that we could potentially get is in the team event, but it's gonna be pretty difficult. There's 10 countries there, but I would say that there's 4 others that we have to worry about. That would be America, Japan, Georgia, and Italy. I think America and Japan are pretty good for 1 and 2. We'll see how it goes with that, but 3rd place between Georgia and Italy and Canada will be the fight for that, and we just need strong showings from everybody to potentially get those.
They got to fight for it. I like it.
Absolutely.
And of course, that controversy you're talking about is in 2022. Canada in the team was 4th. Russia was 3rd. They were disqualified, but they did not upgrade Team Canada. So I have an issue with that. When is there ever controversy in figure skating? I don't know. I don't know when
It
there's
never
ever
happens,
controversy.
Perdita.
No, it happens.
It's very transparent on the up and up
So
all the time.
transparent. But I want to tack on something that you just said about the fact that, Piper and Paul, they went to Grand Prix final, and, the judging was kind of a little sketchy. They weren't sure. They were very vocal about it. They had a lot of feedback, and people were like backing them up. One, I want to ask you, how controversial was it for them to speak up, by the way? Like, could that hurt them going into the Olympics? Will the judges remember that? And two, what do you make of this whole judging drama? Will that also follow the athletes into Italy?
Yeah, to speak up in a sport that's so like aesthetic and requires some kind of poise, and often you have to shut your mouth when you don't agree with the result. You just go back and work hard, even though you may be depressed by what you just happened, what you just witnessed. So they do put a lot at risk because there can be some opprobrium and backlash from that. But they have been in this game a long time. They've medaled several times. So to use their platform, their standing to speak up, I think was very admirable.
Brave.
Yeah, and they weren't the only ones. The French team that burst onto the scene this year, Guillaume Cizeron, he also spoke about how weird this judging has been. Very low levels and scores for all teams, and then at the Grand Prix final, Great Britain beat Piper and Paul, and that's kind of where it is, even though that team has been behind them for several years. Not saying that they can't advance ahead, but it's...
The twizzles weren't as nice. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but the twizzles weren't as nice as Piper and Paul. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and skating is not is known for these controversies. The 2002 Olympics with Saleh and Peltier, which led to the changing of the code of points. Nagano for Born and Krat, where they learned that there was block judging and they were kind of preordained to finish fourth. And it's giving a little bit of a glimpse of that. And unfortunately, Canada has always seemed to be on the brunting end of that.
Quickly, are you worried that this could continue into Italy? Or they're going to figure it out?
I'm hoping that by Italy that they've figured it out.
Me too.
But I think, will speaking out hurt their chances? We don't know. It shouldn't. But it's skating. And at the Grand Prix final, the judges who were there...
Are they the same judges in Italy?
They should be the same technical panel in Italy.
Anyways,
so,
no drama here.
Well,
I'm going to shut up, Buttercup. Moving on, let's talk about Olympic trials, qualifications happening in Gatineau, Quebec. What are you hoping to see there?
I think it's going to be an exciting one. Of course, it's the Olympic qualifier. In the men and women's, we only have one spot. Ice dance, we have the full roster of 3. And in pairs, it's 2. I think in the ice dance, it's going to be pretty obvious who's going. Like I said, Piper and Paul, Marjorie and Zach. I think third place is going to be the little bit more exciting one. Marie-Jade Loriot and Roman Lagac have been going head-to-head with Paul Air and Alicia Fabry. But I think Lagac and Loriot are kind of ahead because they've had a very, very stellar year on the international circuit. So they're really hoping to that their placements on the international stage will secure them that third spot for ice dance in pairs. Of course, we have Tiana Delato-Dudek, Maxime Deschamps. They are definitely on the team. And I would say that the second place is a lock, barring any very unfortunate skates, Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. Now, where I think it's going to be most exciting is the men and the women, because we have only one spot. And the person who comes in first will be crowned with that Olympic berth.
Wow.
In theory, because of course, Skate Canada doesn't just look at the results of nationals, it looks at your whole body of work throughout the season and the quadrennial. And if we talk about the women, the favorite there is Madeline Skeetsis, who has had a very up and down season. Luckily, she ended it very strongly at Finlandia Trophy. She is now the Canadian woman with the highest scores, but the results from the other competitions could potentially hurt her if she does not win nationals. But she's looking confident in her training, and I think she's just growing. She's competed a lot this season, which is different from what she's done previously. But she will have a lot to contend with.
And do you talk about the men yet?
Honestly, I think the men's event is going to be exciting out of the two that are going to be exciting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Steven Gogolev and Roman Sadovsky is an Olympic skater. Yeah. He has been there before, but Steven Gogolev, who came onto the scene as a junior, as a phenom, like had quads in his back pocket, but then grew and had to deal with several injuries, bone bruises, and was just on and off the ice and in a competition for 6 seasons. This is the first season he's been able to compete healthy. And boy, has it been super exciting. They've gone to head at 4 different competitions internationally, and they've just been flip-flopping. Who's beating who? I think that Gogolev has this slight edge and advantage. He has the highest points for the men in Canada right now, and won a bronze medal at Finlandia Trophy, his first Grand Prix medal in his whole career. So really excited to see that for him, but it's going to be a battle there. And of course, Keegan Messing came back this summer.
Unretired.
Yep, it's been the year of unretirements.
Does he have a shot?
Back.
Does he have a shot?
You know what? Maybe he came back very late for the high performance team camp where the senior national team goes. Yeah. He had only been training his programs for 2 weeks at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Then he went to an international and was beaten by a young man named Grayson Long, and that was his senior debut. And to be beaten by somebody who's just arriving on the scene and you've kind of been here doesn't bode well, but he's Keegan. He has skated under even worse circumstances, so he absolutely could be a threat.
So what do you think is it? Is it a natural ebb and flow of how the sports cycle goes? Is it a pipeline thing, a talent thing? Yeah. Why do you think they're falling behind a little bit?
Well, I think that when it comes to ice dance in pairs, Canada is always Gucci. They always seem to have the next team coming up. There's always someone waiting in the wings. I think where we often fall behind is the men and the women. Of course, we only have the one spot for each. And I think it is just a little bit of a talent thing. Yes. I think that there is a big chasm, especially in the women's event, of women that can compete on the international stage and aim for those top 10 results that will get us more spots for world championships, for the Olympic Games. And I think that we have very good coaches here in Canada. People from all around the world come here and train in Montreal, at IM, or train at the Cricket Club in Toronto, Ice Dance Elite in Scarborough, 8 rinks in Burnaby, BC. So we have great coaching. I think it's
the talent pipeline.
The talent pipeline, yeah. I think it's just also, Skate Canada has been very, very good, I think, in the last few seasons of really giving young skaters opportunities to compete, not only on things like Next Gen Camp, where they identify talent and they have this own internal competition, but also sending them out to get international experience, because nothing beats just experience. So I think just kind of fostering that, I think is really important in Skate Canada.
So Asher, fill in the blanks for us. Canadian figure skating is not falling behind. It's...
I would say regrowing.
Oh, I like that.
I know that we have a lot of anxiety, be like, who's coming up next? Where are they? But I will say that on the Junior Grand Prix circuit, Canada had a record 12 medals, the highest they've ever had in 2 decades. So I think that we are gonna be all right. There's so much talent to foster, and I think that the next 4 years after these Olympics are gonna be exciting.
Okay, I love how you frame it. Like, the future's bright. I know we're talking about 2026, okay? But the French Alps 2030 will be here before we know it. Asher Hill, thank you so much for this.
Perdita, thank you for having me.
All right, so from one Canadian to another, here's Mackenzie with the rundown.
Did you know the Winter Olympics are just 1 month away? Yeah, that's how we're currently feeling, especially considering the week Team Canada just had. Let's start with multi-Olympian Elizabeth Hosking, who captured her first ever World Cup win in women's snowboard halfpipe at the Snow Rodeo in Calgary.
To be that was some enormous air.
Next to Mile Ricker,
up the pipe, ladies and gentlemen.
Canadian
this is
snowboard legend,
is action
so
as he tried
crazy.
To knock Valentino off the top of the pipe.
Getting my first World Cup win. Yeah, I have no words.
Yep, you heard that right. Maëlle Ricker was the last Canadian woman to win a World Cup in this event. That was 24 years ago. Now, Hosking wasn't the only one to achieve her dreams literally 2 seconds into the new year. Abigail Straight just secured her first ever World Cup gold in ski jumping in Germany. And if you're thinking, I've heard that name before, you definitely have. It was already her 9th career World Cup podium. Afterwards, Straight delivered what might be the quote of the season, which was, "I freaking did it." Lastly, over in Winterberg at the IBSF World Cup, Cynthia Appiah continued her upswing this season, taking home silver in women's monobob. And this is the kind of hype we need heading into Milano Cortina. So with just 1 month to go, the torch has arrived in Rimini and will make its way up the coast toward Milan. The games are coming, you guys. Back to you, Perdita.
Okay, it is time for the sauce of the week, and you know what that is. It is not about pasta sauce, okay? It's that one moment that really stands out to us. And this week, it has to go to the Swiss Miss Cami Rast, who had an incredible weekend, beating the Michaela Schifrin in slalom. She snapped the American 6-run winning streak. And the part that honestly really speaks volumes is that she dedicated her win to the victims of the New Year's bar fire that happened in her hometown of Crans-Montana, Switzerland. That's not only saucy, it's kind and it's classy. Hats off to Cami. All right, y'all, before we wrap, make sure you are locked in this weekend. I promise it is such a good one. CBC has you covered with all the action. We have a really big one, Canadian National Skating Championships in Gatineau, Quebec. That's Saturday, January 10th, 3 p.m. ET. Circle that date. We will find out who will make the Olympic team. All right, that is it for me. Good to see you once again. Happy 2026. We'll see you next week.